Okay, today I wrote the best belief idea I have ever written. Now, the title of it is The Best Belief Idea You Have Ever Heard. Unfortunately, most people are not going to be able to hear it, if you know what I mean, hear it, because they're just not going to believe it because it's really so far out of what they know to be true, quote unquote, know to be true. So, that is the topic for today, and I'm going to spend a little bit of time digging into this so that you can hear it, because it's so important. Now, a lot of times people will say, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, that kind of thing. I'm not going to say that. I mean, you can if you want, because maybe you've seen other stuff that I've done. But for me, a lot of times it's too early in the recording to say, hey, I like this. You don't even know what I'm going to say. So keep that in mind when we get toward the end. So as you know, though, you can sign up for Belief Ideas by going to itsaboutbelief.com. It's free. Put your email in it. Put your first name, put your last name. Doesn't matter. However you want to do that part. Just make sure your email is correct so you get these. They're free. I do them almost every day, 5 days a week, most of the time. And hey, I'm self-employed, so sometimes I can slack off, and I won't get fired. I don't guess. I might. I don't know. Anyway, so the best belief idea today, the one that I wrote this morning and sent out today, was this: your imagination about what it is you want, in other words, your desires, should be all you need to feel like you've accomplished that. All right? Like I said, you may not hear it. I'm going to say it a couple different ways, a couple of different ideas and examples coming up. So, what I mean by that is when you imagine something, say you imagine you're traveling the world, okay? And you're going to Portugal, and you're swinging by Spain since you're right there, and then you're going down to the Gold Coast of Africa, and then you're going to wherever you're going, doesn't really matter. But you have a mental image of how that looks, or you should, in your imagination, right? So maybe Europe. I've been to Europe a few times, so it's pretty easy for me to create mental images around that. And also Mexico. I've never been to Spain or Portugal, but there's plenty of video and stills and all that stuff on the internet that we can go look at. And so these things are not a big stretch anymore to create the imagination around something that you might desire. So those are some of the things that I happen to have within my desired lifestyle, and a couple of other business things and a couple of other things I'd like to bring into the visual perspective of a lot of people. Okay, so you create this imagined lifestyle, this imagined completion of a desire. As Neville Goddard says, imagine it as if the wish has been fulfilled. So you imagine from it. You don't imagine of it. You imagine being within it, and you're there, and it's done, it's fulfilled. So you're imagining from that wish fulfilled. So now here is the message, if you will. Do not do this imagining from the perspective of you're trying to make something happen. In other words, you're imagining it so it will show up out there, which is the way it's presented a lot of times. Frankly, it's the way I present things a lot of times. This is the process to help you manifest something. But within that is a kind of a gotcha, if you will. If you're doing it to make something happen, then you're adding resistance to that thing that you want, and you're blocking it instantly. So we have to get out of the idea that we need to make things happen, number one. And number two, we need to get out of the idea that something that's imagined is not as real as something that shows up in front of our physical eyes, if you will. You know, like here, we can see it, hear it, reach out and feel it. But the imagination, the thing that you have here, that you have conjured in your mind, is just as real, maybe more real in terms of how it makes you feel, than the things that show up in your physicality. I don't want you to take my word for this, because that won't work. You know, you will not take my word for it. I can promise you. You might hear me and you might say, oh yeah, okay, maybe, I might believe it, I might not. Doesn't matter what I say. What matters is what you do. Be a doer of the word, not just a hearer of the word. You know, do it. What I mean by that is test this stuff out. Test it. See if the imagination of what it is you want doesn't make you feel better than some of the things that you've imagined and that they've shown up and you've experienced them in the physicality. So here's a great example. A new car is a really good example. So I've had a new car, I imagined it, I went and got it, and it was great, you know, for a while, but in a very short amount of time, that new car desire kind of wears off really pretty quick, and within a month or two or 5 or 6 or certainly a year, you're not driving a new car anymore. It's a used car. As a matter of fact, if you look at the valuations, the minute you drive it off the lot, it's a used car. And so that takes some of the fun out of it right there if you're looking at the financial side of it. But if you're just looking at just the experience of a new car, then that's going to be great for a short while, but only a very short while. And then, you know what? Guess what? You really need something else to put into your imagination to keep, you know, the creative juices flowing. Well, okay, I got this new car. Now what do I do? Yeah, right. What do you do? Well, now you start imagining different things. Maybe a new motorcycle, a new plane, a new locomotive, you know, whatever it is you want. A new trip, a new thing, a new relationship, better health. So it's always going to be, and it always needs to be, it always needs to be something else. So why not skip the idea that you have to manifest something to bring you the feeling that you are desiring? Because isn't it the idea that you want to manifest something but so that it will make you feel better? So why don't you just skip that step completely? You know, skip the manifestation step and say, you know what? Wow, if I could just imagine it and it makes me feel better, why do I need to see it and then have it be disappointing, and then I have to go manifest something else, blah, 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 blah. You know what are you getting it? Hopefully you are. It might not seem like it would be as much fun. It might not seem like it would be as real. So those are the two hurdles you kind of have to get over to get to the idea that, hey, all I have to do is just imagine it. and it's going to make me feel great. And that's the whole point. That was the whole point of creating the imagination and creating the manifestation. The manifestation, the trip, for example, you're on it. You're out there. You're in the physicality of getting on the plane. Getting your luggage. The airline losing your luggage. You're missing your flight. You're out there. You're in the hotel room. It's not as nice as the pictures, looked when you were looking at it online. All that. It's going to be disappointing no matter what. It's Let me just say this: it's rarely as perfect as you can make it within your imagination. How about that? So try this. Do the imagination. Do not do it with the idea that next week tickets are going to show up out of the blue that take you to Portugal, for example, to take you to a seaside resort out there. Now, I'm not saying they won't. As a matter of fact, they probably will. That's just the way it works. But please don't do it from that perspective. Just do it from, hey, I'm going to do it this. Now, for me, I don't know about you, but I've got so much stuff in there. There's no way I could sort it all out anyway. I couldn't say, hey, I want this to come first, this to come second, that come third, fourth, fifth, and then I want it to be this way, that way, and all that. It's way too much for my brain, and our brains aren't really designed for that to begin with. Our brains are designed to see what happened. So what does that tell you? That tells you that you're just supposed to use your imagination to create in the etheric, the vibrational realm. Create there. We're expanding the universe there. We're doing our job. We're here on the mission of the Creator. So we're back to our Creator's work. We're going back to the work we were sitting here to do, which is create, decipher, decide, sort, pick the things that we like, add to it, bring this and bring that together, and make it into something different and new, and bring a new perspective to it all. We can do all that right here, right in there, and that's all we are expected to do. And then the other thing that we're expected to do is kind of sit back and watch the show. There's nothing that we have to do, It's not we're not here to get out here and fix anything, create the world and make it better, feed the hungry. We're not really here to do that. I know it doesn't sound right. We're not here to fix the world. We cannot fix any of the problems. We can't do it. Our brains aren't designed to do that. And all the stress and all the anxiety and all the health issues and all the things that we experience as a negative, or, well, not all of them, but a lot of them, are caused because we're putting too much stress and strain on the brain, asking it to do things that it's not supposed to do. We're only here to imagine things. Now, if we want to imagine that the world is, everybody's well fed and there's no poverty and strife and issues and things like that, do that, because then you will vibrate in that realm and you will see the world fixed. It's already fixed. There's an infinite number of planets and worlds out there. Now I'm getting a little bit off topic here, but I'm explaining some things. There's an infinite number of universes, varying from extreme poverty on the planet of Earth to extreme wealth and abundance and all that lies in between. All we are here to do is decide which ones of those we want to experience. So we can do all that within our imagination, and then when you combine that with the knowledge and information and knowing that what shows up in front of us is nothing but our internal reflected out there and then back through these physical eyes so we can see what it is we're imagining, then it all makes sense. Of course, you have to get the idea in your mind that this is even possible. It may not be that you even have to get the idea in your mind that it's possible, because frankly, it may be too much, and it's too much for me. It's like, what? Are you kidding me? Everything that we see out there is channeling through here, through the medulla, and is projecting out onto my screen of space, my esoteric, the one screen of space is the entire mine, is the whole universe. What? Are you kidding me? Yes, it is. I'm not sure if I believe it myself, okay? But I'm going to go with the idea, because that's what some of the great masters have constantly said over and over and over again. I do not want to ignore that idea. I don't want to ignore it, and therefore be ignorant, ignorant of the possibility. And then you have to hearken back to the idea that anything is possible until you start saying, yes, but not for me. And then you're not subscribed to the idea that anything is possible anymore. You've negated that completely. So there you go. That was the best belief idea I have ever sent, which is, I'm going to go back and say it again. The imagined idea, the imagined belief of your desire is more satisfying than the idea that you can imagine and have it manifest in front of you and have that more satisfying. Because it's not. It is not. Go get that new car. Go get that new trip, that new outfit, that new health, that new relationship. It's going to come with a whole set of contrast that comes right along with it all, that's going to say, wow, I have to constantly select and weed this garden of reality or imagination or whatever it is you're working on at the time. So go test it, go be a doer of the word. Now, if you like this, hit subscribe, hit I like it, hit the bell notification. If you don't like it, don't do anything. Just go on to whatever it is that you like. Just select what you like. You don't want to spend any time on things you don't like, because you'll just get more of that. So this has been Steve with It's About Belief, and it'saboutbelief.com.